Yes, sure.
Hello, Steven. Welcome to Music Podcast Rewinding from Montenegro.
Pleasure.
The new album is out. Are you satisfied with the final product?
Yes, very. I'm very happy with it, actually. It's kind of grown. It's grown a lot, and it feels very epic, but it also feels very cohesive, which was a surprise, actually. I didn't think it would end up sounding so cohesive and so thematic as it does.
You have many guests on the album, is it right?
We have 47 Soul, who are a fantastic Palestinian exile group who've got their own sort of groove. We literally play together with them, you know. We've got Ana Tijoux, who's a very well-known Chilean rapper, and we do a track with her, and that turned out very well as well. We've got a British comedian called Stuart Lee, who does a fantastic satire on racism, on sort of classic British racism, which we all grew up with, and he's fantastic, you know. And it's like we're backing him. He's our lead vocalist on the track. This big white guy, mad comedian. He's fantastic. I think he wrote is the best satire on British xenophobia I've ever heard. The work of genius. What else have we got? We've got Dub FX from Australia on one track, another collaboration. I mean, these collaborations weren't going to go on the album, actually, but they were just so good. We put them on. Everyone liked them so much, you know. Then who else? Sorry, I'm just going to get my track list because there's quite a lot, actually. You know, Dub FX and Ana Tijoux were suggested to us by our agent Simone, who's which had a great vision about that. You know, you wouldn't have thought of asking them. But it turns out they were very good fits. The Stuart Lee one came about because I was experimenting with a recording of Stuart Lee, and that was just a moment of inspiration. I sent it to him and said, "Yeah, let's do it." You know, so, which I didn't expect to happen at all. Now, after 47 Soul, we've wanted to work with for a while. You know, we've been saying we should get together, we should tour together, you know, so for years.
Yeah.
So that was no surprise. I'll tell you what was amazing about that one was we didn't know when the album was coming out and we did it. And it's like those guys have such problems going between countries. You know, I said, so, okay, we had this jam. We thought, yeah, we've got a tune. And then, so when can we do it? Next few weeks? He goes, oh, no. A week today, two of us have to go back to Jordan for 3 months because of our visa. So we quickly rushed into the studio and did it. As it happened, we didn't need to do that, but I think it's good that it happened. It feels very live.
Yeah.
Spontaneous. You know?
Great. Since we spoke 8 years ago, lots of things happened. I want to ask you about Brexit first and the referendum in Scotland.
Right. Oh, the referendum in Scotland. Well, that's a while back.
Yeah.
That seems almost. Events have overtaken that. Obviously, the Brexit referendum has far more long-term significance, you know. And unfortunately, I think we're going to get a no-deal Brexit where all of a sudden we just cut all ties to the EU in January. And I think it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
I think it's going to impoverish a lot of people and enrich a small number of people, you know, which is what the intention behind it was all the time. That's not to say there aren't major criticisms that you can make of the EU, absolutely. But this is a money grab by a small clique of people who've sold it as some big kind of national salvation.
Yeah, do you think that Britain could be alone economically and like Scottish people told that they could get along by themselves?
Well, yeah, but the Scottish case was that they would join up with the EU as an independent country. So they wouldn't be alone. They were they're very enthusiastic members of the EU.
Yeah.
The large majority of Scottish citizens, and they voted that way. You know, so they wouldn't be alone. I don't know. I think I think it's going to change this country a lot, mostly for the worse.
Yeah,
The
and
music, God knows how we're going to continue. We've been battered by the COVID-19 stuff, but there's a whole subsector of the economy.
Yeah,
It's all about traveling festivals, traveling stages between Europe and free exit and entry. So God knows what's going to happen there.
and there's a thing about how Chinese put this virus in the world, so that their economy could be major and to defeat other in that games. Do you believe in those things? Like
No, I don't believe in
theories?
those. I think these conspiracy theories are
Yeah,
usually wrong, usually have no evidence.
yeah,
You know, where I would sort of assign blame to the Chinese government is not some mad conspiracy theory like that. I would say that, you know, China, most people don't know, but China has a privatized healthcare system. You know, this just shows me that the actual health of the country is not necessarily the prime priority of the Chinese government. And that's what I would say is the case there. But I think that probably holds true for the American government as well,
yeah.
and the British government, you know. So, you know, and we still don't know the exact origins of the virus.
Right.
I cannot see how a virus, a deliberately released virus, is good for any country's economy in any way. You know what I mean? I cannot see how.
Right.
I mean, China is a slow expansionist country. It's never really been about kind of like, you know, annexing territory by force and whatever.
Yeah.
They're a very stealthy player. They're extending their influence by economic means. I cannot see how, if that's your plan, how releasing a virus is going to help you stealthily expand economically. You only have to look at their behavior. You know, it doesn't make sense.
Right. As you mentioned now, I read a few days ago about clashes in a border with India.
Oh yeah. With China and India,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. That kind of goes slightly against what I've said, but that's not uncommon. You know, that has happened. I mean, China did invade India. What they do, they invaded Vietnam too. They kind of like come in and just sting and then withdraw.
Right.
It's the Chinese method of warfare is all about kind of intimidating diplomatically. You know, they use war to intimidate, to you know, and there are some, you know, there's been border disputes between India and China since independence, you know, and it blew up in 1962, I think, you know, that China invaded India quickly and then withdrew. I'm not sure what this one about. This seems to be something that's gone a bit wrong, actually.
Right.
I think this is some kind of little mistake, actually.
Yeah. And also we have a question, which is also now the main thing also in Asia, that's Tibet and Nepal question also. There has been a struggle for years about Nepal and Tibet with China. That's a question for years.
Yes, it has. Yeah, I must admit I haven't kept up with that one.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there was major social and political change in Nepal. I haven't kept up with that one, I must admit.
Yeah, Free Tibet is still a strong movement in the world. But I want to ask you about this. Beside all this political struggle about we witness police brutality all over the world. In Britain, again, there's a racial clashes. This subject is one of your main topics in songs.
Well, it was, yeah. Certainly on the first two albums, we really first three albums actually, we dealt with it a lot. Actually, that's true, because we were coming out of the Stephen Lawrence murder at the time. So there's one track on the third album, Officer XX, which is one of our best tracks, which dealt with that. We had Operation Eagle Eye on the second album, which was about particular peace strategy for stop and search. And the first album was full of, well, TH9 was all about physical conflict with the police. You know, so yeah, in the early days we did actually deal with that, I suppose, a lot more directly.
It seems to me that now the media has strong role about this question, because it seems like there never been police brutality, there never been racial tensions in states and in Britain, like people live that through the centuries.
Well, it used to be very easy to cover it up.
Yeah.
But with the rise of the mobile phone and cameras,
yeah,
and really that's what's you can't disguise it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and like every aspect, every incident of racism, there's so many incidents that are caught on camera. You know, like I mean, there was that one. Obviously, it wasn't police brutality, but it did show a certain mentality that is deep in the American subconscious. You know, that there was that guy, the black guy who was a bird watcher. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
The guy was a bird watcher in Central Park.
Yeah.
And basically, he was telling a woman not to let her dog, to keep her dog on a leash, and it, you know, just to follow the rules.
Yeah.
And she says, "You know what I'm going to do? You don't tell me what to do. If you do, I'm going to say I'm being threatened by an Afro-American, big Afro-American." I mean, in a way, that was the sickest one of all.
Yeah.
Because that was some kind of liberal sort of New Yorker around Central Park. And, you know, when she was in a situation she thought was tight, she dug into the kind of bag of tricks of racism, purely for her own kind of selfish interests, you know what I mean? And really, and I think this is the thing with America, is there's so much ideology, you just scratch the surface. Right. And you find all this stuff buried there, you know. Right. In a way, it's more obvious with the police and the justice system. It's things like that one that really, I think, are probably condemn the collective unconscious of that country more. I think. Right.
And now you made a soundtrack for the cult movie La Haine. Also,
well, we didn't make a soundtrack. We did an alternative soundtrack that we played live.
Yeah.
We're not actually on the original film.
I read that you work with George Lucas.
Well, we didn't work with him directly, but he gave us permission.
Yeah.
To do a live soundtrack to his first film, THX 1138.
It seems that soundtrack is like your favorite things to do.
Live soundtracks. Well, they're very interesting. Yeah. I think we got another one, the Battle of Algiers, that we did a long time ago, a couple of times, and then we did it again in Paris last year. That's probably the best one.
Was it different, like work for the movie compared to the album you do it?
Completely different, because you're not the main star of the show. You serve the film. People watch the film. They can see us play, but it's our interpretation of the film's action. So it's more you're watching the film, really, and it's like the film is the lead vocalist. You know, the band is in the back.
Yeah,
you know? That's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, do you think that music has changed since your beginnings?
Well, I hope so. Yeah. Well, of course it has. It's changed massively in every way, I think. You know, people have grown up now into the second or third generation, where the digital realm is the central force of music. You know? So obviously that's a huge change in every aspect of it. You know?
I ask you this because you're always like you bring to your music new sounds and new technologies.
Yeah.
Has it changed in that way?
Well, I think that ADF is a band. I think one of the reasons why it's still around and why we can still turn out what I think is a very good album is because we've got our own sound, identifiable sound and approach and perspective. Right. And we can actually if you imagine it's like a sausage machine, the band, the sound. You put anything in one end, it still comes out like ADF. Do you know what I mean? So on this album, for example, there's a couple of tracks that are influenced by trap music.
But it should be good sausage.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it'll be like you know, it's sort of like it's an ADF sausage, you know. That's the best you can play.
I want to ask you, how was it to work with Sinead O'Connor for a powerful song, 1,000 Broken Mirrors?
Well, that was amazing, because I mean that's quite unusual for ADF, because we used to jam it. Pandit G did the loop, and then I played along the guitar, the kind of main refrain. But then I went to this. What it's about is about a woman who was in prison for poisoning an abusive husband. She was in for 20 years. Zora Shah, her name was, and I went to a benefit for her, and I had this riff, and then basically just wrote all the lyrics based on her daughter's speech, and imagining it in a sort of semi-dramatic way, the events. But it's very much a guitar tune, so it's one of the few ADF tunes you could probably play with one or two guitars, and it would work like that way. And people have done cover versions of it, actually. But then, of course, the band comes in and it becomes a big dub tune, and then Adrian Sherwood takes it further. But we never actually met Sinead to do it.
Yeah.
And what happened is I did a demo with another singer, the woman who sang, Sonia Mehta, who sang the backing on Fortress Europe on the same album. We did a version of it, you know, and just me and her. And we sent that to Adrian Sherwood, and he sent that to Sinead and said, I love it, I'll do it. You know, I'm blown away. I'm still blown away by that.
Yeah.
You know, I still walk on air because of that.
Right.
I wrote a song, or largely wrote a song in its pure form anyway. But Sinead O'Connor did.
Yeah.
She put it on our compilation album, you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's fantastic.
One of the great singers of this era, isn't it?
Yeah.
The past 20 or 30 years. You know?
It seems to me that there's much injustice in the world. How you pick up themes for your songs?
Well, we don't go around looking for it. It's not a sort of
right.
like if you're inspired to write about something, you write about it. Simple as that.
Right. And I want to ask you about one of your projects. It's Dub Punk Opera Gaddafi, a Living Myth.
Oh, yeah,
How you came up with that idea?
I had that idea since I bought a book long before ADF. And it just had, the second chapter was called Gaddafi Superstar. And then when I saw him with I thought he looked kind of like a version of Public Enemy, you know, with the machine guns and stuff. So I just thought, well, this could be kind of musical, you know.
What is the Western perception of Gaddafi?
I don't know. I can't. To be honest, once that was over, I put that out of my brain forever. To be honest,
because
it was a very, very weird experience, and to be honest, I don't really think about it that much. You know?
Because he said,
I couldn't tell you now. I couldn't tell you. I haven't kept up with it. You
know? Right. He said because he said the Western civilization would be a good idea.
No, Gandhi said that.
Yeah, Gandhi. Yeah.
Not Gaddafi. Gandhi.
What do you think about media in Britain?
Media in Britain. Well, it's. I suppose what we do have here is we have hugely right-wing tabloid press. The majority of the press is solidly right-wing, you know, and you see headlines everywhere, and it's very popular. It's very powerful still, I think, you know. But otherwise, it's the same as, you know, the balance between the social media and the printed press and YouTube has changed. You know, that's the same as anywhere. But our printed press, I think, is extremely right-wing, no doubt.
Right. Have you played in India yet?
Yes, we have. How many times? We did one tour. We did a festival. Yeah, we played in India. We did one tour and one festival.
Right.
Yeah, well, the first tour was one of the the main date was a festival. Yeah, that was in 2008.
Also, last time when you told me that you heard about bands Bernie's Propaganda from Macedonia.
Oh yeah, they were interesting, and she did some great artwork.
Have you heard any other band from Balkans? You played at Exit?
Yeah, there was one band. What were they called? Oh, there was one band that we were on when we played in Novi Sad the first time. That they were pretty good. What were they called? I can't remember. Let's see. I'll probably find their name. I mean, it's hard to keep up with. Oh. Sorry, I lost you. Yeah. Obviously, there's I can't remember. There's a lot of bands I've seen. Yeah. But if you look at a gig that we did from Novi Sad, I can't remember their name. It's a really pronounced name, actually. I'll see if I can find it. I think I know exactly. They were pretty good, I remember. It was at a fantastic venue, some old sports hall. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting them confused with another group. They had quite a long name. They were a kind of dub jungly group. They were pretty good, I remember. I wonder if they're still going. But they played with us in a big venue in Serbia in 2001.
Do you listen a lot of music?
Well, yeah, of course I do. Yeah. It's actually, I think it's a great privilege if you're involved in music. You spend a lot of time with music, and that's very lucky, really.
Because a lot of musicians said, I can't hear any more music.
Well, I suppose it's become increasingly difficult for me to check out new music.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep up with it. There's so much of it. So I do tend to rest on my laurels a bit these days and listen to older music, music that made me want to get into music in the first place. So, no, I listen to a lot of music from my childhood now that I never used to. It's interesting what happens. I don't know whether it's the same for everybody. But most of the time when I started working in bands and stuff like that, my influences and my name checks were always what I heard between the ages of about 16 and 25. But now I find myself drawn to music that I was into or just interested in before I got the notion of what music was. I just simply liked it, Right. And it's actually some quite interesting stuff. A lot of soundtrack music that I liked when I was a small child. I was very attracted to soundtracks, And that's why when we did the THX1138 soundtrack, I was blown away because the person who wrote the soundtrack to the original film is Lalo Schifrin, who I bought records by and taped an old cassette recorder when I was like 10 or 11. Everybody knows a lot of his music. Mission Impossible was the most famous.
Right.
You know that tune? Down, 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 down. I mean, I think that's probably the most famous, but he did a whole loads of cop show kind of films, the Clint Eastwood films, a couple of them. But I mean, my gosh, that music was so tough and funky. It had a big influence on me. And that was something I liked before I kind of got hit with music,
Right.
So,
Steve.
Yeah, television themes and stuff. I used to like it.
Yeah.
I could think I had about 5 records instantly come to mind that I bought between the ages of 8 and 11. All television theme music.
Right. Steve, thanks for your time again. I hope we speak again, like 5, 10 years, and that you come to Montenegro to play a show.
Yeah. I'd like to. I mean, very much so. We love coming to that part of the world. It's always a lot of fun. People are very nice. So, well, I think Exit is on this year, isn't it?
Exit
Exit Festival.
Yeah, in Novi Sad, Serbia.
Yeah, yeah. You know them. I think
That's
it's Bonded, yeah.
pretty near and close to us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows if we're playing at that or not, possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll see you there if it happens.
Right. Thanks again. All best.
Hey, well, thanks again. Have you got a copy of the album?
Of the
Of the album? Of the new album?
yeah, yeah. I share a link somewhere. I think I heard, or is it a video or something? I heard one or two songs.
Oh yeah, so you've heard the ones we've released on
Yeah,
video.
yeah.
You haven't heard the whole album?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I might be able to get our press agent to.
Great. It would be good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, nice one, man.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for getting in touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you take care.
Yeah.
Nice to
Take
speak.
care. Cheers. Bye.
All right, nice one. Bye bye.